What it is, what it do, how the hell are all of you? With yours truly, Petra Fucker, back with part 2, what it do? Aha! Shit, you already know what we was talking about. We was talking about reform. We was talking about the Democrats that have been in office since the motherfucking 70s, 80s, and 90s, preaching reform that haven't done a goddamn thing to reform shit since they've been in office. But yet they've been filling up their fucking coffers, taking that money home, getting that sweet tax money. Shit, this just happened. We had Joe Biden openly, in front of the entire world, literally say George Floyd's death was more impactful than Martin Luther King's. Like, let that shit sink in. That's a goddamn lie, first off, but let that shit sink in. That motherfucker had the nerve to say that, and probably he believes that shit. Joe Biden is a goddamn pervert, and he's probably a pedophile. He had a crackhead son that did some really fucked up shit. Done took money from multiple countries that he had no business taking money from. Biden done poked his nose all over in that shit, so he's just as goddamn dirty. And he got the nerve to say this shit. And not only that, it's a beyond stupid statement. I don't know how Biden doesn't get drugged by real Democrats. That shit surprises the shit out of me. Like real Democrats. Not the ones that just jump from side to side or join, people that really look at the political system. I know there's a lot of people out there dragging him, but if you look at motherfuckers out there, there's also people defending him. And I don't know how you could defend that shit, man. I'm not saying that George Floyd's death didn't have an impact on the world, because we all watched some seriously sick shit happen. But Martin Luther King had an entire movement. And when that man was assassinated, the entire world cried. Are you fucking gonna say it didn't? Because I promise you it did. That man's movement is no. I'm not even gonna try to touch that shit. That what Biden said was fucked up. You can't defend that shit. Get that old man back into his fucking basement and let him sit there. Get someone else to take his fucking place. Because the shit he's saying, man, he's dumb as fuck. First he was on the Breakfast Club talking about you ain't black if you don't vote for me. And now he says this shit. Oh, man, yup, he's wildin'. And then, not only that, man. Not only fucking that. You got Pelosi and the geriatric crew out there gonna kneel. Straight pandering. Because again, half these motherfuckers been in office since the 90s, 80s, 70s, and they ain't done shit. But yet, they're gonna sit out there and they're gonna kneel. But yet, they didn't take the time, like they've never taken the fucking time, to do any research, to do anything to help anybody. They decided to wear a fucking cloth that had to do with a tribe that was linked to slavery, to selling slaves. The Ashanti tribe. Look it up. People can say that was probably a Republican that liked Trump. Slipped it in there to troll him. I don't believe that shit at all. I really believe them dumbasses thought they were going to pander and get 1 million motherfucking people to back them, and it didn't happen. Thank God that shit didn't happen. That shit backfired like a bad muffler, homie. Bitches looking like they got shat on. And the fact that they kneeled, man, I remember the first time when I seen it, the first joke I made on Twitter was the amount of arthritis and back pain and knee pain I see is insane. And not only that, Nancy Pelosi had a hard time getting up if you actually watch a couple clips afterwards. Because high heels. Nah, bitch, because you 80 years old, kneeling, trying to pander, and you're in fucking heels. The heels may have played a point, but if you wouldn't have got on the ground, guess what? It wouldn't have made a fucking difference. Kind of upsetting, man. What the Democrats do really be getting under me, man. I don't like that shit, bro. But I really think they screwed the pooch. I really think the Democrats screwed the pooch with that one. And it's good that they did. And another group that screwed the fucking pooch was the celebrities that did that Take the Responsibility video. Half you motherfuckers are millionaires. Don't you fucking dare play that card. Don't you fucking dare play that behind your gated community with your fucking security. Bullshit. Don't you dare act like we're the same. That's that privilege I'm talking about. That's privileged motherfuckers make those videos because they don't think nothing bad is going to happen to them. Them motherfuckers shouldn't be afraid when the police stop them. Why? Because they're fucking famous. If a police shot your ass, Hollywood would cry for you for fucking years. Fuck out of here, man. Some bullshit. Just some bullshit. And then just moving on, man. Because I don't want to go on. It just made the Democrats just pissed me off with that pandering, bro. And then like this. I've seen a lot of arguments about the statues, man. The statues, the monuments. Now we live in a democratic republic, so that means we have to vote, and majority vote rule wins. You might not like that shit if you don't win the vote, but you have to accept that shit. If you don't like that, then I don't know what to fucking tell you. Move to somewhere where you can. It's not that. But everyone wants to take down the statues. I'm going to draw one parallel real quick. Back to Pelosi. Pelosi's dad literally said that we should idolize Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee in the 40s. That was her fucking dad. And now she wants to take down all those statues. I wonder what her dad would say to her today if he heard that shit. I wonder what he would tell her. I wonder if he would walk back what he said. But that's just one parallel I'm going to make. Just was a quick one. That I think is fucked. Again, pandering. I mean, they're talking about, they in St. Paul, they tore the Columbus statue down that. And I'm not going to say that natives don't have a legitimate gripe with Columbus. But, the Italian-American community gifted Minneapolis that statue. So, then do they get to have a gripe with you taking down the statue? I'm not saying they do have a gripe. I'm just saying, do they have a right to then? Because my opinion is, if we continue down the route we're going, where we're rewriting history, we're changing words, we're doing this, we're doing that, and it's all spur of the moment. This, that, the other thing to cater to a fringe group. Because the majority of people, does not act like the fringe. And the fringe right now is what's getting everything to change. The ones that scream the loudest. That type of shit. That's what I mean. And like, Twitter is a good example. Twitter is like 2% of the population uses Twitter. And 0.1% of that is the far right leftists and progressive leftists, whatever you want to call them, anarchists, fucking socialists, whatever. And then there's also the alt-right. So them motherfuckers would be that little percentage. But those motherfuckers right now, Antifa would also be a part of that small little collective of the far, far left. Well, they're the ones screaming louder now, and they're getting shit to change. But it's getting changed on a whim because people are afraid. They're afraid because they literally act with violence. That's what they do. You can all wear masks and shit and deny and say, we don't do that. Yes, you fucking do. There's video after video after video after video after video of evidence. Whether you don't want to see that shit or recognize it, that's on you. That's not on me or the rest of the world. That is solely on you. And the way I look at it is, if you want to take down all the statues and all the monuments and change it, this, that, the other thing, go through the process of having it voted. I'm sure in this year, a lot of people would agree with you. I don't think they would even argue it. But then you take that statue, you put that shit in a museum. Because a museum would love to have all that history. That's what they're there for. But when you start to take history away, you're doomed to repeat it. That is not just a random saying. It's happened. When you start to get rid of history, you're doomed to repeat it. In a lot of the shit that the United States has reformed and taken out of fucking altogether, like slavery. The slavery is a good one because slavery still happens in a lot of places in the world. Women's rights, civil rights, LGBTQ rights. There's plenty of countries that you'll get killed for being gay, get thrown off rooftops Like, America is great. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to say that shit till I die. America is a great motherfucking country, and I'm proud to live here. And I'm going to always defend the right to free speech. Right or wrong. Now, I'm not saying if you say the wrong thing that you can't get your ass beat for that shit. Cause and effect. You say some smart ass shit, someone going to jaw-jack the shit out of you. You want to go be racist, you want to go be racist. But when someone beats the fuck out of you for being racist, don't you fucking get mad. That's how I look at it. But when you see people pulling down the statues and shit, it really pisses off a lot of people. It really does. I'm telling you, it pisses off the people that you would think it wouldn't. I have a lot of people I talk to, and I ask them just general questions like, do you believe in white privilege? What do you think of them taking down the statue? Those things. And I'm not looking for a long, drawn-out answer, and I think most of my people know that. I'm looking just for your initial thought. Like, what do you think? And a lot of people tell me it's not right. You're taking shit too far, too fast. You're not going about it the right way. And now I'm not saying that the statue should have stayed up. I'm not saying what some of the heinous shit Columbus did. I'm not saying that we shouldn't take that shit into account. But it's history. And we still have to teach it. We still have to teach how we got here. I mean, come on. We can't just teach one side of history. We've been doing that, and it's not right. You got to teach both sides. But the winner writes history. They're the ones that define it. Not saying again that that's right, but it's pretty much how every country's fucking founded. They won, they fought, they've continued to fight to keep it something. Like, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. If someone can tell me I am, then tell me. But that's just how I look at it. Like, we've all been fighting to keep what's ours. And yes, that includes our lives. So when, again, police just randomly start taking shit that's not theirs, including our lives, that's just not right. When you start taking shit down that you shouldn't just be taking down on a whim, that's not right. It's my opinion, man. Again, it's all my opinion. But a good example, I think it's a good example, is you don't see people pulling down the Charlie Brown statues all over Minnesota. You don't see people pulling down the naked Greek and Roman statues with little dicks and shit hanging out because they don't like them. You know, and people could legitimately get mad at that shit and not like it. What if you really hated the show Charlie Brown and just wanted to tear down the fucking statue? You don't see people doing it, is my point. Now, granted, you'd be like, yeah, that's a fucking wild comparison, dumbass. But it's just, it's just how I look at it. Like, it's a statue. It's history. For whatever reason, it went up. Someone put it there. It was erected for a reason. Now, like, when they tore down Saddam Hussein's statue, fuck yeah. Tear that motherfucker down because he was evil as shit. And that's why I'm saying, I'm not saying if Columbus was all that evil and shit and you go through the right process because we're not Iraq, we're not Iran. So when they pull down a statue, it's not us. So yes, fucking pull it down. But here, we have to go through a voting process, man. And that's all over. And that's why I say, if you're going to vote to take it down, put it in a museum. Defacing it, you just made a job for someone that's going to have to go out there and clean that shit up. Eventually. But that's how I look at it. Like, so I said, you could say it's a drastic comparison, whatever, however you want to spin it, but that's how I look at that, man. And it's all kind of statues and monuments have been vandalized lately. There was a police monument, and I know this, what the fuck, man? There's a police monument for police that were killed in line of duty that was vandalized, and then they're going to have it removed now. Like, there was Abe Lincoln's monument was vandalized. Like, you guys are, and then it's seemingly every monument has been vandalized. Just the fuck, like, that's I don't think that that's the right approach. I just don't.